Hi, and welcome back to Creative Chelsea. If you like this video, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up or commenting below. If you want to see more of my videos, press the subscribe button and click on the bell for notifications. Today I have for you another beautiful alternative project made with the April 2020 Paper Pumpkin Kit, My Wonderful Family. If you are new to Paper Pumpkin, it is a monthly subscription craft kit, which includes everything you need to make the designed projects. And these were the design projects for April. If you would like to watch me unbox this kit, I will link the video up here in the corner, and you can see everything that came in this month's kit. Don't miss next month's kit. It will include colors from the new 2020-2022 in colors from the new catalog. And all of my Paper Pumpkin subscribers receive an exclusive kit designed by me, which includes all the paper and embellishments to create 2 cards of one design. So the link to sign up is in the description box below. So the alternative projects that I came up with today are these 2 cards, and I wanted to show how you could use the cards 2 different ways, but really give one design. So earlier I talked a little bit about the exclusive card kit that my Paper Pumpkin subscribers will receive from me. And this is the card that they can make using their supplies from the April 2020 Paper Pumpkin Kit. So they will receive all the cardstock and accessories to create this card 2 times. So the idea behind this card is something that you could create using just the stamp set from the kit. Now I did include this little bird because I had some extras, but it's cute without it, as well as this pattern strip comes from the envelope. So the kit that I will give to my customers will include this strip of shaded spruce cardstock, which will replace the pattern paper from the envelope. So this card uses more of the pieces from the kit because when I was done making all my cards, I realized there were some leftover pieces like a tree trunk, as well as the birds. And so this one just shows how you could create another card with those leftover elements. Because these 2 cards are so similar, I'm going to be creating them at the same time. So the background cardstock is Sahara Sand. And so I've got 2 pieces for a card front, and they are both 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I have 2 card bases that are also Sahara Sand, and they're just your regular size, cut at 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 and scored at 4 1/4. So the first thing I'm going to do is run these 2 card fronts through the Big Shot with the wood grain embossing folder. So I will do that and be right back. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that. So the next thing I need to do is remove the flaps from the envelopes so that I can use them for this pattern paper. You're just going to begin by opening that flap and trimming it on the crease or a little bit inwards, depending on if your paper cutter can cut on the fold. Do it to both. So you're going to trim each flap down until it's about 4 inches by 1 3/4. So I'm just going to find that corner and trim it there, then flip it and trim right along in that next corner, just right along that corner, which will give me 1 3/4 inches, and then trim again at 4 inches. So this piece is a little bit shorter than the original can give you. So if you want a longer piece, you could do that as well. And then we're going to cut this in half. And so it's 1 3/4, which means we can cut it at half at 7/8 of an inch. So just under 1 inch. So now you have 2 pieces, so you can use this to create 2 cards. I'm just going to repeat on my other flap. So again, just cut it at the corner, then turn it and cut at 1 3/4. and then turn it and cut at 4 inches. And then cut in half at 7/8. Great. So now we have an envelope that has no flap. And so I hate throwing away things. So we're going to use this envelope, and we do have 2 envelopes because we're using one of the shaded spruce flaps and one of the mint macaron flaps. And so you could use one envelope to create 2 cards of this, and the other envelope to create 2 cards of this design. For this card, we need to cut out the largest die from the stitched nested label dies. And I love these dies. There are 8 different sizes of this shape, and then it does come with a straight edge that you can use to either trim your labels down or even just to use on your card to get that nice stitched look. So because this paper is thin, I can probably just go ahead, turn this over, and run this through the Big Shot, and I will get 2 of that shape. So let's go ahead and give that a try. Okay, so that worked out well. So now I can also create 2 of this card along with the 2 strips. And I can use the front and the back of this envelope to stamp my greeting, or not my greeting, but my treetop. So before I can stamp that, I'm just going to go ahead and open up this envelope so that I have 2 pieces of paper so that I can stamp. And I'm just trimming off the folds. Okay, so there are my 2 pieces. So let's go ahead and do our stamping. So for this tree, I'm using crushed curry, and I have done a double stamp, which means that I stamped it twice, and my second time I did not re-ink it. So I will show you how I did that. So I've got my crushed curry, ink it up once, and then stamp, and then just move it slightly and stamp again. And so you're going to get that double stamp. And then ink again, and you're just rotating it and then matching up those sides. And then stamp, rotate, or move slightly and stamp again. Okay, so I have that one. Now I can go ahead and do it again if I'm planning on making 2 cards. Oh, almost forgot to re-stamp it. Okay, just like that. Now I'm going to stamp for our other card, and this one is just a one-time stamp, and it's in Rococo Rose, and I'm going to be doing the same technique where I just stamp it once and then stamp it again without re-inking. And I have cleaned my stamp. So this I want to just place right at the top with about a 1/2 inch or so from the top of that corner to the top of the, oh, I re-inked it, bummer. Okay, so I'm going to do this one right. So I inked it up and then stamp again. And now I just need to get a scrap paper so that I can do the first one the right way. So ink it up, this time stamp off, and then you can stamp that second stamp. So if by chance you started talking like I did and forgot to do a second stamp, you can get it by just stamping off on a scrap piece of paper. Okay, so like I was saying, just about a 1/2 inch or so from the top. The next thing we're going to do for this card is we're going to stamp the tree trunk, and we're doing that in early espresso. Just ink that up and then center it and just bring it up into the treetop just slightly so it's touching the leaves. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do for both the cards is stamp our greeting, and I'm using the I'll always be here for you, And I'm doing this in the early espresso as well. And this is on a 2-inch strip that's about 3/4. Yeah. So this is on a 2-inch strip that's about 3/4 inches wide. And you're just stamping that in the center. So the last thing we need to do for both cards before we can assemble, we need to punch out this everyday label. And we're punching that with mint macaron. So I've got my punched everyday labels in mint macaron, and I have my shaded spruce ink, and I'm using the little leaf stamp right here. Let me get a piece of white paper. So this little leaf stamp, and we're going to be stamping that on the mint macaron. And just put a couple in opposing corners. Like that. Okay, and so now we're ready to put our cards together. And I'm just going to put together one of each card. Even though I did stamp for more cards, I'll just put those together off the camera. So I've got my card base for each, and I'm just going to fold it along the score line and crease it. I'm going to add the card fronts. So you can decide which side you like better. There's the one that's impressed and then the ones that is raised. And so I like it where the paper is impressed into the paper. And so that's the side I'm going to put up. And I'm just going to center that on my card and do it for this other card as well. Next, I'm going to add the nested label with the tree on it, and I've already placed snail on the back, and I'm just going to add that to the right side of the card. And then I liked the mint macaron pattern for this card, so I'm just going to add that. And I want to be able to still see a little bit of that tip, so I'm just going to place it maybe about 1 inch or so from the bottom of the card. I've got my punched out mint macaron label, and on the back I'm going to add some adhesive. And then I have a 10-inch piece of Daffodil Delight ruched ribbon, and I'm just going to do this back and forth on the back. To create kind of a faux bow look. And then I'm adding this to my card with some dimensionals. Just going to place them in the corners. And it just goes to the left of the tree. I want to still be able to see some of the tree trunk, and I don't want to cover the entire pattern piece. So about halfway into the pattern piece and then mostly to the left of the card. I'm going to grab one of my greetings, put some dimensionals on the back as well. And then that just gets centered in that label. And the last thing I want to add is a little bird from the kit. Now, if you don't have any more birds, then this is a beautiful card by itself. If you are one of my paper pumpkin customers and you're making your kit along with me, do remember that you do have this strip of shaded spruce that can replace this pattern paper here. So I've got my little bird, and I'm going to adhere it with a glue dot. I'm just going to use my paper snips because I have them close by. And I'm just going to put them down here at the base of the tree. So that card's all done. So we can go ahead and move to the larger tree card. So for this one, I have my stamped image, and I'm just going to fussy cut out these leaves. So I'm probably going to, it's not too difficult because you just kind of move it back and forth gently. Remember when you're fussy cutting that the key is to leave the hand with your scissors. Keep it from moving as much as you can, and then just move the paper with your other hand. And it gives you just a little more control so that you can get closer to the image. I like how the double stamping gives the tree a little more depth to the leaves and kind of fills in the blank spaces a little bit more. If you wanted, you could even flip your image, your stamped image over, and you could stamp with the back of your image to give you a kind of a solid shape that's similar to the shape of the leaves. And that's another way to kind of fill in that background. Okay, so that's going to go down on our card. And we're going to place it so that the right side is touching that edge. Make sure that's the side to open it. And then the top, you've got about a 1/2 inch from the top. So this card is a perfect way to use up any extra tree trunks you might have. And I'm just going to add this with the glue dots as well. I can't find my stamp tool, or my pickup tool, that's what it's called. And so I'm just using my snips. And then this can just go over your tree. I'm just bringing it up slightly because I don't want those branches to come out of the tree leaf. And then if you want, you can go ahead and press it down, or you can slide in your pattern paper under the tree so that you have it above, the tree trunk above. On this one, I had it below. So you're not really going to notice one way or the other, but that's totally up to you. I'm going to go ahead and add it underneath just to give some variety. So again, about 1 inch from the bottom of the card. So get your label and your 10-inch piece of ribbon, and you're just doing the same technique. You're just going to wrap it back and forth. And you can play with it if you want a fuller ribbon look or skinnier. That is totally up to you. And then add it with some dimensionals. And kind of in the same place, halfway up into that strip and just barely over the trunk, and nice and even. And then the same thing with the greeting. You're just going to add it with a couple dimensionals. Place it in the center. And then if you have them, you can add 2 more birds to your tree. And really, these trees can be any color. So if you wanted green trees, purple trees, red trees, you can change them up to be anything. Okay, so that card's all done. So I hope you enjoyed seeing 2 different styles of the same card and watching me put together the card for my paper pumpkin customers who will receive the exclusive card kit from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, like, and share. Visit creativechelsea.com for more information about paper pumpkin and to start getting your monthly kit. Have a creative day. Bye.